Is it up and running? Cool, cool. What's up, everybody? I'm gonna try and figure this live stuff out, but I'm here to teach you a quick unplugged series with Nō Studios, freestyle dancing, freestyle movement, and breakdancing. So I'm gonna get right into it, really in one sec. I just want to figure out, make sure I have this all set and done. And not gonna lie, guys, it's like one of my more first times figuring this out, but seems to be pretty okay now. So I'm gonna put you guys actually sideways if I can. Boom. And it's gonna stay. Might move you here instead. Alrighty. So once again, welcome everybody. This is the Unplugged series with Nō Studios. They were awesome and they actually asked me to do a quick thing on freestyle dancing and breakdancing. So that is what I'm here for today. I'm going to get the music started and everything like that. But for those people that might not know who I am or don't know what I do even. So obviously you know I'm in something in dancing. So, like I said, this is the art of Swasey. My name is Sam Swasey, but I usually just go by my last name. It's from my artist name. And simply put, I am a stuntman, a breakdancer, and an all-around movement artist. So, a lot of people that I end up talking to, they usually don't know what a movement artist is. And this is where I can come in, where I am someone that comes in and shows adaptability. So, for example, I'm here to help stunt people. And, you know, if they're used to just doing crash stunts, I'm here to teach them how to do a different style of movement or do choreography for them. And for choreographers and dancers, I also go and help them how to learn flips and how to do acrobatic stuff. So it's kind of do an all-around movement. And that's something I've always loved. So obviously the two big things I usually stick with is something called parkour. And for those that don't know what parkour is, you might have also heard free running. They're technically different, but parkour is basically outdoor acrobats. The original name for it is, or the original definition is a martial art used for getting from point A to point B as efficiently as possible just using the human body. So you use a lot of skill sets and martial arts skills to get over walls and all kinds of things. It has evolved over the years to get more into doing flips, doing crazy acrobats. You ever seen someone run up a wall and do a backflip? That's kind of the gist. That's like the basic level of the gist. What's up, Randy? How are you doing, man? Came here to learn some good stuff. On the other side, though, from parkour, there's also the breakdancing element. That's my background as well. So my dance background actually started way back in Florida. So for a quick little update is, I have moved, I think, over 20 times. I've lived in at least 13 states, I think. And for some reason, I was always on YouTube because I was moving all the time and it was just whatever. And when YouTube first came out in 2003 or something like that, there was a video called, I think it was called B-Boy Junior. Or it's just the most basic breakdancing video ever. And when I saw it, I got hooked. And I had to keep going, and so I started learning how to dance. And what's funny is I actually didn't even start off as a breakdancer, even though that was the first video I saw. The first style of dance I did was something called shuffling, which is a EDM style dance. It's a lot of footwork in it. And then I started learning something called popping, which is like... Now that was a little bit more waving, but popping was the gist where pop, 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 right? And then from then on, I went and got into breaking, B-boy, B-girl, right? The actual stuff that was on the floor. And that's what we're going to do today as well. So we only have an hour, so I'm actually trying to give as much knowledge as I can, giving you guys as many moves as I can. But the main thing I wanted to really clarify with this hour session is that I wanted to really get into the freestyle part of it. And the reason why is because Many of us can take a dance class. You can go to the local studio when things are open, you know what I mean? Or you can take an online class and they can teach you a choreography. They can teach you, you know, a set list of moves that you do in order and you do it to a certain time. That is awesome, and that actually can be very difficult, a lot more difficult than people, I think, give credit to. But, what's up? Japan living, man, Randy, I'm jealous. But I'm gonna be breakdancing in Japan one day. But going back to what I said, sorry, it's back to the freestyle part. You know, I originally got into dance because it was just the most freeing thing. It was just when you were out at a club or a party or even in your living room and the music's blaring or in the car and you want to, you know, do some hand dancing. You know, like I wanted to completely express myself. And with freestyling, the most beautiful thing with freestyle is that it's the complete expression. You have complete control over every single thing you do, to what beats you want to hit, to what movements you want to do, anything. There's no structure to it. I mean, you can learn foundation, right? And foundational moves give you more creativity or more opportunities to be creative. But freestyling dance is just basically the moment where like you just are completely yourself, right? And the moment when you are completely yourself, that's when you exude all this, you know, confidence. You exude, you know, you're just giving the world as much as you can, like who you are, and it's just, I don't know, it's just a really powerful feeling that I really, really enjoy, and I want you guys to enjoy as well. So we're hopefully going to get into how to freestyle more, how to get that confidence up, and how to build that creativity. You know, how to let that mind connect dots and how to make it fluid and different things like that. So, and then through that though, I am going to teach you guys some foundational breakdancing moves. That way you guys at least have something called, you know, in the dance world we call it dance vocabulary, right? And so for those that are watching, some of you guys may be dancers, some of you guys may not. But for those that are not dancers, dance vocabulary is just simply, you know, it's like your arsenal of moves, right? If you only have like 3 moves, right, you have, you know, whatever you want to do, you can't make complicated sentences, right? So, you know, it's always good to learn more moves, because then when you start freestyling, you can start getting. So, that being said, we actually are going to do the full thing today. So we're actually going to stretch and do warm-ups. I'm going to teach you guys actually very important warm-ups to do. Now these are ones that you can apply to anything. It doesn't even have to be dance. This is stuff you should probably be doing every single day of your life, especially if you want your joints to be strong for the future and you just want to be able to last, your body last as long as possible. So obviously being a dancer, in my opinion, being a dancer is like the fountain of youth, because one, you get to be so happy just doing what you love, but you also get to be very physical in it, and it's going to be very important to get these warm-ups and these exercises in, so that you don't hurt yourself long term. Okay, so we're going to go and do a little bit of that, and then while I get into stretching and different warm-ups and stuff like that, right after that, I actually will probably be giving you guys a little bit of a quick history of hip-hop, because obviously, if you guys don't know, breaking is an element of hip-hop. And if you don't even know what I mean when I say the element of hip-hop, then you are in for a nice little treat. So we're going to jump right into it now. So first things first is you got to find some space. I know mine's not the most prettiest of them all, but you got the flooring and you got to do what you got to do. So you want to find exactly what I said, as much space as you can get, and then we're going to get straight to it. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to doing warm-ups is there's 2 types of stretches and there's 2 types of warm-ups, right? And technically the warm-ups are warm-ups and cool-downs, right? But there's 2 types of stretches, and the first one is something called kinetic stretching, right? And this is actually the stretching you should do before any activity ever, right? Before all activities, whether you're playing soccer, to doing parkour, to whatever you want to do. If you just want to go for a run for the day, you know, because you're feeling good, or if you're hitting the gym, you should always start with something called kinetic stretching. Right? This is stretching that you do where you actually are moving and stretching at the same time, and I'm going to show you examples of this. The reason why you don't want to do this, the typical stuff like that, right before any exercise is that it actually doesn't warm up your blood at all, and it actually keeps you kind of cold. And so really it's not going to do you any favors. You can still, you know, tear something when you're running or doing some activities. So it's really beneficial to do the kinetic side. And then static will be at the end, and we'll go over that in a second. So it's true. It's all true. Fountain of youth. All right, so let's get that fountain of youth started. So real quick, I'm actually just going to go over a couple exercises. I actually did a little bit of warm up ahead of time, but because we're kind of short-ish on time with only just an hour, I'm going to show you guys a couple exercises and then give you guys some more that when you guys are done with this, you guys can take that, learn from it, and use that and apply it to anything else. So first ones, these are kind of always childish, and when I teach my kid classes, they love these ones. But the first move is called Frankenstein's. All right, so it's exactly what it sounds like. It's kind of silly, but most stretching is, to be honest. You're gonna have your hands out like this, right? And you're literally just gonna have one leg reach for the opposite hand and back. You can walk in a line, you can go circles, you can just stand in place, but the idea is to keep moving, right? And get your leg up as high as you can, all right? So we're gonna go about 15 kicks each leg, and then we're gonna move on to the next exercise. So this is the part where you don't just watch live. I want you guys to actually get engaged with this. So obviously I can't see you guys, this isn't a Zoom meeting, but if you're really gonna learn from this, you gotta actually apply it. So try it out, and that way you also don't have to just watch me. So I'm gonna go 15 each side, so 1, all right, then 2, 3, 4, boom, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and boom. Okay, so those are Frankensteins. Obviously those are really good for your lower legs, but when you're doing kinetic stretching, you want to engage in your whole body, all right? So that's why we're doing moves with our arms out, things like that. Now, this next one is really good for your knees and your ankles, right? So it's technically going to be pulling at your calf muscles and right behind it, but the more muscles you can secure around your knees and your ankles, the stronger your joints will also be, all right? So at least keeping them intact. So this one's just a really simple one, all right? You might have did it as a kid just for fun. Hopefully you guys can see me. You're really just going to be on your heels, right? Like this, and you're just gonna walk around. So you can walk back and forth, you can walk in circles, things like that. But when you're walking, you wanna be intentional with your movement. And that's very key, right? You wanna be in complete control, know exactly what's going around all the time. So when you're doing it, if you're not feeling any stretch, I want you to point your toe even higher up, right? You really wanna point your toe as high as you can and walk around, okay? Now, at first you might not feel much, but that's okay. It's a light exercise, but because it's a warm-up, that's what we do. So you're just gonna walk in circles for a bit, walk in a line. I'm honestly just gonna probably walk in circles for a quick second. I'm gonna just count to 15, because like I said, for those of the people just joining in right now, I kind of did my warm-ups ahead of time, so I'm really just here to teach you guys a couple extra. But for those that are actually trying this at home, I do want you guys to get a warm-up in. So just get on your heels. You should really point your toes up. And this is really good for your knees and your ankles. It helps with the muscle around it a lot. Make sure you're not stomping though, because your heels are still connected to your knees and your ankles, so you don't want too much pressure there. You want it to be more of a stretch than any kind of workout. So just a little bit more. And then all right, so that's another one. What's up, Lily? What's up, Heather? So, like I said, that's a very basic one, but that's a very unusual one that I feel like most people don't start doing when they do the stretching and stuff like that. So, this other one is kind of another weird one, but in breakdancing, we use a lot of hips, right? The hips are open a lot for when we do moves called flares or windmills, which if you don't know what those are, I can show demonstrations a little bit later. So hips are very important on this one. So these are called, well, I've heard different names for these. I grew up learning these are called sumo stretches because sumo stretches look like that, right? So I was always taught these are called sumo stretches. So these are kind of another weird one, but what's going to be is you're going to bring your knee across, over, and down, right? Weird one is, you might have seen this in sports where people just like move their legs. That's good. But you actually want to bring your foot down because you want to add that extra pressure. It just helps your legs stretch and then lock, stretch and then lock. So you want to bring them around, step, bring around, step. Okay, so we're going to do 15 each leg again. Like I said, we're just going to go through these real quick. But if you're out there, make sure you're actually trying them. Right, called sumo. Be intentional with your movement. Right, you really want to work on opening your hips. If you're doing this and it's not wide enough, make sure you go out more. Right. So for those people that are super flexible, I'm jealous. I could really work on my flexibility myself sometimes. So also fun facts for stretching is there's a lot of stretching actually makes your muscles stronger. They make them denser. So the more you stretch, the stronger you actually will be. And it also helps with recovery. So if you're ever one of those people that works out and then is sore the next day, about 1 out of 3 times you probably just didn't stretch because you were lazy. Okay, so that's mostly what we're going to just do for our lower body, those 3 exercises, because like I said, we're going to go on time. The next one is for your wrist. Now, these are really important because this isn't necessarily a stretch right here. This is something to strengthen your joints. Now, how your joints usually work is you kind of have like a set capacity of strengthening them every day, and then you use it, and then it heals after you sleep, right? This is like the quick version. Which is why over years and years, we use too much and we don't actually get to build it back up, right? Which is why it's important to build muscle around it to slow down that process. But there is actually a way to strengthen your joints, and there's a way to make your joints, I guess, at capacity start off stronger, and that's just by keeping them loose, right? That's just keeping them not tense so much, right? So you want to constantly roll out your joints as much as you can. So first one is pretty simple. You're going to grab your wrist, you're going to go in circles, all right? Now you want to go, honestly, you should be doing this every day, like morning, then lunch, and then night, just when no one's even paying attention, or when you're just bored. This will really save your wrists in the long run. But because this is breakdancing, we are on our wrists a lot. You've got to do this extra. You want to do about 15, 20 for one side, and then when you feel good, you're going to switch to the other side. Right? Now you really want to grab your forearm under your wrist, and the reason why is because you don't want it to be too loose like this. You actually won't get as much, control or power. So by stopping it, you have way more control, and it's a lot more effective on your wrist. And then you want to switch sides. All right. For some of you guys, your wrist might be popping. Let them pop. Go both ways. Go slow if you need to. All right. Make sure you really go both ways. Really loosen up your wrists. Okay. All right. Now the next one that we're going to do is your elbows. most people don't even ever work their elbows, to be honest. They just let them kind of get hurt. I don't know why, but whether you're in sports or not, we don't learn too much about elbows, I feel like, or at least I didn't grow up learning too much about elbows, except when I started taking, you know, my career as a, you know, physical performer a lot more serious. And so it's a super easy one. It's one of the most basic exercises you can do that I also believe you should do every day, where you're gonna put your elbow on your hand and you're literally just gonna do circles, right? Anyone who's ever gone through physical therapy, you probably know this exercise, all right? So you wanna do small circles first, right? Maybe do about 10 of them. Make sure you go both directions, right? Because there's tiny little muscles in here that you wanna work, right? And in the joints, you want them really loose, right? Like you're greasing out the joint. And then you want them wide. Bring it really wide, trying to punch your face like I almost just did. Go in both directions. Right? Boom. Switch. Go small. Switch sides. Go big. Don't punch yourself. Okay. Go other side. People need to stop calling me. There we go. Okay. So your elbows should feel a lot lighter. If they don't yet, keep going. You know, this is something you could do for honestly ever, and it will really strengthen your joints and your muscles. So if you don't want arthritis, do this every day. All right. So I'm kind of on to the next part. I know that was kind of a rushed warm-up, but just like I said, due to time, and I have a lot to give you guys today. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about something real quick. Now, I'm in the breakdancing world, so I know a lot of the people who are around me, who are around my world, I guess. They know this, but for those that might be tuning in that have just never taken a breakdancing class or never went even to a breakdance battle before, I think this is going to be a cool little extra information for you guys. So I always do this trick question with people, and I know you guys can't really respond at the moment except in the comments, but you know, I used to tease people. I used to ask people. I'd be like, you know, what's the difference between rap and hip hop, right? And when you ask them that, you're like, they usually say something like, oh, well, hip hop has more beats and rap's more lyrical, or they'll be like, well, there's a certain style that rap does, it's faster, and hip hop's slower. Or I've gotten so many different answers. It's ridiculous, right? Not ridiculous. It's you just don't know, and if you don't know, you don't know. So, you know, it was my way of giving a little bit of a trick question. And the reason why it's a trick question is because hip-hop originally wasn't just a genre, right? It wasn't a genre at all. It was a culture, right? It was something that started in New York City, right? And during this culture, you know, every culture usually has maybe a dance element to it, right? Not every culture, but you know, there's usually a movement part, a visual part. There's parts to a culture. And the parts to the hip-hop culture were broken down into something called the 4 elements of hip-hop, right? And to this day, it's now called 5 elements, and I'll get into that in a sec. But the original 4 elements of hip-hop, right? The first one I'm going to name is DJ, right? And for those that don't know what DJ means, it's disc jockey, right? And back in the day, people would, you know, they didn't have money for music instruments, so they would grab some scratch records, and they start making their music, right? Whole history to that as well, but for another time. MCs were also around, master of ceremonies, right? Those are the ones who now have evolved into rappers, right? So rapping really is just an element of hip-hop, right? And these MCs would go on and they would host these cool parties, and they would bring the community, you know, they make it very lively and full of like fun and joy. And basically what happened is rap, which stands for rhythm and poetry, for those that don't know, you know, they started mixing with the DJs and getting together and collaborating, and boom. So now we have, you know, that kind of stuff. And the third element of hip-hop is graffiti, right? This is the, you know, the cool visual art stuff now, because back in the day, you know, when you're in the Bronx, there's a lot of bad real estate stuff going on, and it was kind of not a pretty sight sometimes. You know, it was a lot of broken down buildings, a lot of just brick, and you know, it was kind of a not so visually appealing, you know, place. So the community wanted to give it, or the culture wanted to give it a very colorful touch. And they wanted to bring color to their world. And now obviously there's been a lot of like ups and downs to the graffiti world, but in the end, the idea was to bring a more, they wanted to bring joy to someone, right, through visual colors, right? We enjoy seeing bright colors more than just something completely dull, right? So, graffiti. And the fourth one, the coolest one, debatable, but I think it's cool, is breaking, right? B-boy, a break boy, right? Boogie boy. And this was the dance side of it. And what's cool about breaking is that it was very influenced from many styles, right? And this is why I think I vibe with it so much, because sometimes I call myself a movement scientist, because I'll take bachata moves and mix it with capoeira, and then throw some flips in there, and then do a head spin. Right? And I just love mixing the different styles and different movements together. And what's cool is breaking was like that, right? It's, you know, people from a capoeira background would come and they would show off some moves, and kung fu was influenced, and gymnastics were influenced, and salsa, and like all these different styles of dance were very influential towards breaking. So you have to thank tap dancers as well, and there's a lot of cool stuff to it. And basically all came to one, right? So, and those are the four elements. The fifth element that has been evolved into today is called knowledge, right? This is actually knowing where the culture comes from, and this is where you guys are now basically a part of that, because you guys know better now, right? So it's not some big old mission, but it's important to know that, you know, what's actually going on behind the scenes. You know, a lot of times people, they just listen to music and don't know anything about it. They don't know the culture, they don't know anything about it, and you know, they can take advantage of that sometimes. So it's cool to kind of get to know the real history and culture of it. So that being said, now you guys kind of get a little glimpse of what hip hop was, you know, about, and how breaking came to be. And now let's get into it. So I'm gonna set up some music. I'm gonna actually put on, I have two different styles of music. I'm probably gonna play with both of them. One's a lot more EDM, and the other one is old school hip hop. It's very break beats. So we're gonna go through both of them today. Now, I'm gonna put some music on real quick. It's actually in the next room, so give me 1 second, guys. And what's up, Janelle? Hope you guys can kind of hear that music right now. I'm gonna turn it up in a sec. So what we're gonna go into is something called, so there's the four elements of hip hop, right? So what we're also gonna do is something called, there's the four elements of breaking, right? So the first element of breaking is called, it's a little loud. The first element of breakdancing is called top rock, right, or up rock, right, depending on what side of the coast that you live in. All right, so I'm going to be teaching you guys some top rock moves today. Now, top rock is the style of dance, or the part of the dance that you do standing up, right? So okay, a lot of standing footwork, all right? So we'll be going over some stuff like that today. The second element is called footwork, right? I actually sprained my thumb, so I'm gonna do very light footwork today, but we are gonna go over that because that's kind of the fun part. And footwork is basically the footwork you do on the ground, right? So. Okay, that's footwork. Now, you also have, usually everyone's favorite part, right? Not always, depending on who you are, is power moves. Now, the thing about power moves are, these are the very strong moves. These are the moves that can take months to learn. Some you can learn in a week, or a day even, depending on the level of it. And some will take you a long time. So, the power move I chose today is something you can get in a day, but to master it might take you a little bit longer. But at least I give you guys something to work on, all right? So, I'm gonna show you a couple power moves, just real quick. I think my thumb can hold it. I'm gonna show you my favorite power move personally. This one's called the jackhammer. Everyone likes their own different moves. Some people like spinning on the head. I like hopping on one hand. Ooh. A little sneak peek, you know? So those are called jackhammers. There's hand hops when you're up here, jackhammers are when you're down there, and there's a wide variety of moves you could do, all right? And the fourth element, now this is for all those people who love photography, right? Now, back in the day, you know, people were taking pictures, and you know, people were throwing these DJ, MC parties, right? People always want to look good for pictures. So, the fourth element is called freezes, right? So, instead of doing your typical, whatever you're doing, your model freeze, I don't know what you're doing, I don't get it. But, there's a lot of varieties of ground freezes you can do, from baby freeze, right? Which we'll get into. You can do handstand freeze, which I might hit the ceiling, but it's okay. I mainly did it because I feel like I'm gonna hit the ceiling. Basement problems, but it's all good. But basically, a lot of moves that will teach you how to stop in place, cool poses, and very almost extravagant poses in my opinion, all right? And perfect for pictures, all right? Step up your modeling game. So, we're gonna get into some moves in all four elements. Come on. Now people are here. Okay, so, the first one we're gonna get into, like I said, is top rock. Now, this first move I'm gonna teach you is gonna be extremely basic, okay? Now, when I was saying earlier about freestyle dancing, it is about confidence. All right, I'm gonna teach you a couple moves today, and then at the end, I'm gonna give you guys some more tips, more ways on how to use your own style, your own creativity, whether you are a dancer or not a dancer, how to use your own perception of things and how to change it up, okay? So, just wait until I give you all the foundational moves. So this first move, like I said, was top rock, and it's called the front step. Some people call it the Indian step, depending on what side of the coast you're on. I always grew up calling this the front step, right? Now this first one's a little bit basic, but this is what masters your musicality, right? So a little background about me real quick again is I actually grew up terrible with rhythm. I don't know why. I got, you know, no, but I'm just kidding. But I didn't have any rhythm, so I did something called ear training. And this move right here, though is as simple as it is, it helps you really understand how to get into this style of dance, okay? So, we're gonna get into it right now. Now, like I said, it's called the front step. So you're gonna stand up, and the first thing you're gonna do is just stick your foot out. And then bring it back. It's like put your right foot in, put your right foot in, right? You're gonna switch legs, put your left foot in, forward, left foot back. Super simple, right? You go front, then back. Now, here's how the original move goes, okay? So for now, with your hands, just put them behind your back. We'll use them in a sec. All right? You're really gonna step to a slant forward, and then step back. Step to the side, and step back. All right? So step, 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 step. Okay? Now, you can do two things. You can just regularly step, or you can do the front step hop, which is boom, boom. All right? If you want to add a little bit of jump or flavor to it, we call it, right? Now, your hands, okay? So, Your hands are somewhere close to your body when your feet are together. The moment you step out, your whole body opens up, right? So, hands are together, feet are together, step out, your arms are out. In, out, in, out, in, okay. What's up, Chad? Okay, so that's the basic of the front step, right? Step, back, step, back, step, back, okay? Now the next one we're gonna learn, right? This is the one you usually don't learn in many breakdancing classes. It's not beginners necessarily top rock, but it's one of my favorite top rocks, which is why I teach it. And I want to give you guys something a little bit different than any other class. So this next move is called tic-tacs, okay? I've heard other people just call them toe heels. It is technically just a toe heel, but tic-tacs just sound cooler and fresh. Okay, so tic-tacs are, you are standing straight. You bring your toe to the side, right? You would then go toe, heel, heel, alright? So you're gonna hit it with your hand, okay? So it's gonna be like bop, bop, bang, right? Now what I do to add a little bit of more flavor, it's very simple. You can keep it really straight, but I think that looks not my style. I like to kind of get a little bit bouncy with it or low with it, okay? So you wanna go boom, 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 right? You can kind of, like I said, do that freeze at the end, right? So once again, it's bop, bop, up. Bop, bop, up. Okay. So really simple. Now, when you're doing top rock, most of the music we're dancing to has a 4/4 count, right? 1 and 2 and 3, 4. The cool thing about tic-tacs is that they can hit that 1 and. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4, right? Which usually the other one, the front step is more like 1 and 2, 3 and 4, right? Or you can go a little faster, like 1 and 2, 3, right? So that little extra tick, 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 tack gives you a lot more musicality in your movement, okay? So I'm actually gonna change the song again because it's on repeat apparently. And we're just gonna put that together, right? Like I said, I'm only teaching you guys moves for your dance vocabulary. And for those that are just joining in right now, the dance vocabulary is basically, it's like, think of it like words and you're trying to create a beautiful sentence, but your own sentence. You're not just copying and pasting somebody else, right? This is freestyle. I'm teaching you moves, you choose the order, okay? So, I'm gonna change it up real quick. Alright, so I hope you guys can hear the music a bit. So I'm going to go over, if you guys have your own music, do it. If you can hear mine, you can try and do it to mine as well. I'm going to be going through some moves, and I'm going to be doing some variations of the front step. Alright, and I'm going to do variations of the tic-tac, right? Now, what I want you guys to look at when I'm dancing to this, right, I'm going to try and take it as slow as I can, but I want you guys to notice that I'm not doing the same step. It's not over and over again. Now, if you're a starter and that's what you're comfortable with, do what you're comfortable with. Freestyling is all about being comfortable, right? Like I said in the beginning, the more you are yourself and the more you just, be yourself, the better it looks, right? So, So I try to give a somewhat good example of different ways you can do it, right? If you wanted to, I try to throw in some low ones, right? Some low, you can do some bounces, right? You can do whatever you want with your hands. Other ones could have been like here, step back over, back, right? I don't know why I did that, but I just did it, it just felt comfortable, okay? Tic-tacs, right? You can do tick, 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 okay? Different ones. If you do tic-tacs without finishing it, you actually have these, which are just kind of like a Michael Jackson move. Really fun, and I think they're smooth in my opinion. So hit the dance floor with those. So once again, those are two top rocks that you can do, okay? Front step, tic-tacs. Tic-tacs are a little unusual. Like I said, they're not really what you learn in an average breakdancing beginner's course. But that's because it's a style, it's a move that I think is really fancy, right? It's like learning the word flabbergasted, but actually using it's cool. So, next is footwork, okay? So we're gonna learn some footwork today. Now, we're gonna learn two footworks today. If we get time, 3, but I think I'm gonna stick with just 2. Okay, so I'm gonna lower the music a little bit. This first one I'm gonna teach you is usually just a party favorite. That's why I'm gonna teach it, honestly. It's a good beginner's move for sure, but I think a lot of people just enjoy doing this move as well. Now, where I come from, it's called the helicopter. I also have heard it as the one-step and the coffee grinder. There are 3 different names for it. Like I said, breakdancing was a culture that was spread out and people started making their own names, but they didn't know what the answer was. So, coffee grinder, helicopter, one-step. Have you ever heard that? It's the move we're learning today. And then we're going to teach you something called the 6-step. Right? Now, the 6-step is not necessarily intermediate level. It can be a little difficult to get on the first try, but I'm going to try and break down as easy as I can. And just know that if you do understand the 6-step, that is the core foundation to every footwork, or at least 90% of footwork. Yeah. So, first one, we're going to do this coffee grinder. All right, and then we're going to get to the 6-step. Now, you got to find out what your favorite leg is. Is it the right leg or the left leg? And you're about to find out real quick, okay? You are going to get into this squat position. Now, for those that have bad knees, this might be a little difficult, but I will say there are exercises, just like how we did our elbows, there's exercises to help your knees. One being called bear pedals. I don't know why they're called bear pedals, but they're called bear pedals, where you're in this position. You can even put your hands down if you need some more support, and you just want to move your knees up and down. All right. Trust me, you do this for a couple minutes, your knees will be on fire, but they're actually being worked and getting stronger. You'd probably be surprised how weak your knees really are. So, do a little bit of that just in case you need some extra warm up. And we're gonna get straight to it, okay? So, what's gonna happen is you're gonna stick one leg out. Now, when you think of a helicopter, right? You think of a giant, crap, I forgot what it's called. I'm having a brain fart. Not wing, propeller, I think it's propeller, yeah. You think of one giant propeller, and the thing is, it always goes in a circle. So this move, you really want to focus on if you're drawing a circle with this foot. Try and come over here if you can see, right? With almost the heel or just the foot in general, okay? And what I mean by that is you're going to be here. Now you can bend your knees if you want, but it's easier, in my personal opinion, to be up. Your leg is going to start off to the side, right? What's going to happen is you're going to do a 180. You're going to create that circle, the first 180. And it's going to look like this. It's going to come across you. And now as your leg comes across, you are doing, your torso, your upper body, is going the opposite way of the leg. So when my leg's to the right, my body's to the left. When it's over here, my body is now leaning on the right side and my leg is on the left side. Now this is where it gets kind of a bit trickier. You're going to put your hands down, both hands down. What's going to happen is this leg is going to jump over. And while it does, this leg is going to finish the back end of the circle. Boom. So from behind, you're here, swing it, jump, and then you come back to square one. Okay? So, I'm gonna go one more time. You're here, you bring it across, you jump over, and you bring your leg over. Okay? I'm gonna do it one more time. I'm gonna do it forward and back. And then we're gonna move on. Okay. So, the leg straight out, and you can choose which leg you want. Right? Doesn't really matter as long as you know to switch your torso with your leg. Bring it across. Go over, finish the circle. And you're back to square one. Okay? Okay. So, in the end, you can be like, boom. Okay? So, that is the number one. Oh, you can get by. Shout out to B-Boy Shells. Okay? The next thing we're going to learn is the 6-step. Okay? Now, like I said, this is a core foundational move. So I don't want you guys to rush this just to be cool or whatever it is. I want you guys to actually understand this move. 1, this will help you with future power moves. 2, this will help you with basically every other footwork out there. And 3, if you have this down, it'll make it so much easier to get creative later. Okay? So, we're gonna get to it. Now, I'm gonna go the way I learned, right? Now, I think it's the best way to learn personally. Because what happens is we're gonna learn the footwork steps of this move, right? I'm gonna show you first, but I'm gonna show you that we're gonna learn it standing up first. So, just a quick refresher for those that didn't see in the beginning, who are just jumping on. The 6-step, right, is boom, 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 boom. One more time so you can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So, that being said, we're going to do it standing up just once or twice, and then we're going to hit the ground. So the first thing you want to do is, I'm going to go, counterclockwise. If you're going clockwise, just literally do the opposite, mirror me. So, going counterclockwise, my right foot is going to come over my left, like I just crossed it. Boom. This now back foot is going to step back. Right, almost like if I was going to do a lunge. Right, after that, you're going to come back straight. Right, so I started straight, I crossed, stepped, stepped. Right, next, I'm going to step across like the front step. Okay? I'm then going to come behind, boom, and back up front. Okay, so one more time. Over, back like a lunge, back to normal. Like the front step, you know how we learn the front step? It's all prerequisite. You front step, you come behind. You then straighten out. Okay? So, this is what's going to happen. Give me a second. Say hi. Thank you. That's our beautiful cat. So now we're down here, right? So you're in the first position. Now what's going to happen is you're going to hook the back of your knee across your ankle. Right? So remember how before it was right here? You're now going to use your knee. Go here. Leaning on your right hand, if you're doing counterclockwise, obviously it's left hand if it's the other one, you're now going to step back. Like I said, it's like that lunge, but now you're using your hand on the ground. You're then going to put your hands back, and you're now in a bear crawl. You are not in a push-up. Just remember that. If you feel like you're doing a push-up, it's wrong. You're in a bear crawl. Now, usually we do the front step, like we just went over. Basically, where your right hand is, or like I said, for opposites, it's your left, you're going to step there and replace it. Okay? You are then going to come behind to the back of your knee, and then you're back to square one. Okay, so one more time. leg comes across. You then step back, boom. You then bear crawl. You then replace this foot and you come into this lunge on the right side. You come behind, boom. And you're back to square one. Okay. Now, what is important about this move? Like I said, since it's the foundation. The reason why it's the foundation is because it's a complete circle of footwork. If you notice, you're doing a full circle. Now from here, you can start branching out. Okay. Now first, I want to recommend learning the moves first, mastering this down so you're comfortable. But when you do get more comfortable, this is for future reference. You can start branching out, right? You can start doing the helicopter first, right? Boom. Maybe then go into it, right? You can then do an extra step if you want. Boom, boom. Right? There's a lot of variables you can do to it. It also teaches you how to bring your hips in a circle, right? Boom, boom. Brought them forward, I'm bringing them back. I'm bringing them forward, right? And that is really good when you learn flares. All right? It's like, flares are almost like doing 6 sets with no legs, okay? So, that right there is the 6th step, okay? Now, we're gonna move on because we're running a little slow on time. That's my bad. And we're gonna go straight to something called the power move, okay? So, this power move is called a swipe. Now, there's different levels of swipes, okay? Now, I'll show you an example. Get my thumb ready. This is it's something called the master swipe. Okay? That is what you can learn after you get the first part, right? And originally these are just called swipes, okay? This one you are going to need some space to do. You don't want to hit furniture around, or if you're outside, well, don't hit anything outside. But I'm going to show you how it works. So, get some space, okay? Now, we're going to do basically swipes, but we're doing them straight, right? The ones I showed you were in circles, right? This move is going to be a straight move. Usually only do 1, maybe 2 tots. When you get more advanced, you start doing them in circles, all right? And that's for a later class. So what's going to happen is you're going to do a tabletop right here. You want to be your head's up as high as you can, okay? Tabletop. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to go left, my left, right? So for those that are opposite, you got to just mirror me, okay? What's going to happen is you're going to do tabletop, but you're going to lift your left hand up. So whatever direction you are turning, that hand is coming up. Now what's going to happen is we are going to switch. You're going to use your legs a little bit, right? Boom. Okay? So you're switching hands. All right, one more time. Push and switch. Okay? After you push and switch, this hand is going to come down right next to it. Now, if you notice, my legs are kind of tangled. So what's going to happen is I'm going to jump over to my left side and untangle them. Boom. One more time. It's going to be, this is a little bit more faster version. Okay. I'll try and slow it down one more time. So here, switch, feet down. You're going to jump up, untangle, and try and come back to the first position. Okay? Also, if you guys have any questions, you guys can always comment them. All right, Jackie, I want to see some swipes. Okay? So, coming back to it one more time. The swipe. Up. Switch. Down. So you have to jump up almost into a handstand, but not quite, and untangle. And you're coming back to square one. So I'm going to show you guys kind of what it looks like twice, if I can stay in the camera angle. So you're here, right? Now, why this is a good power move to start off with is usually it's one you can pick up within a week. 2, it really shows you that you gotta use your whole body, your core, your upper body, and your legs. This move, when done right and done fluidly, you're using your whole body, right? It teaches you how to basically connect your lower body and your upper body together because they have to work together to make it fluid, okay? So hopefully you guys are trying that at home. And that's the swipe. Now, we're gonna do one more, and this is the freeze, okay? And then at the end, we're gonna put it together. Then we're gonna go over a little bit of freestyle stuff. So hopefully my hour doesn't run up too much. I'm willing to go a little bit longer if they let me, so we'll see. And we'll get to it. So, the freeze. Like I said, this is where you wanna look cool, right? This is the picture moment, right? You just did some cool sets. People are taking pictures of you. If you're not already flying or looking cool doing your footwork, you want something to really let them get a split second to capture you, right? So, this one's kind of a little difficult, but this is, I think, the most signature breaking freeze out there. It's called the baby freeze, and it is not a baby move necessarily, okay? So, I'm gonna teach you the way I learned, and we're gonna get started. Now, first things first, you have to think of a triangle or a tripod, more like a tripod, because what's gonna happen is your hands and your head are going to be the balance points. Now let me show you what a baby freeze is first, and then I'll go over the move with you, okay? So here, and then boom, okay? So, now, for people that maybe don't have as much flexibility, I'm going to show you a variation after this, but we're going to start with this one first. So what happened is you're going to be on one knee, right? Like you're posing, just kidding. But you're on one knee, right? Now what's gonna happen is I'm gonna go right, like I said, for people on the opposite, you're just gonna switch sides, okay? So what's gonna happen is, since I'm going right, my left elbow, is gonna come across to my right knee. And I want this elbow to be past this this knee if possible, okay? The other hand, the elbow is actually going into my side, almost close to my hip, okay? Because I have to let my lower body somehow find a way to balance on my elbows, okay? That's the gist. You basically want your lower body to find a balance point, okay? And your head is extra support. So, you bring your hands over, this hand comes into your side, okay? Try and do this angle, maybe that'll be easier. Quick tip, your hands are sideways. You're not here, you're not down, you're sideways. Alright? Now what happens is, you want to put your head on the ground. Now, this is where the triangle comes in. If your triangle is here and it's really long, or it's too stretched out and your head's, not far up, they're gonna collapse like this. Okay? If your head's too far out, you're gonna have trouble holding it. It's gonna hurt. Okay? You gotta find that perfect triangle. Okay? That perfect center point. Boom. Your elbows are perfectly distanced from your head. Okay? You should feel the weight, but you should not feel like you're having to push or hold yourself. You should feel natural. Now, one more thing is notice that I'm not on my face. A lot of people start off like this, right? No, I'm on my actual head, the crown of my head, right? Wherever you put a crown, put your hands up on your head like you're wearing a crown. Whatever pressure you feel, that's where the floor should be, okay? So, one more time. Papa. Hand over, hand on the side of the hip, and fall into this position. It is one of those things that each person has a different body type, okay? I've seen people who are literally, well, I think he's less. Good for him. B-Boy Crumbles out there. Probably in his 200 pounds something, right? And he can do the baby freeze, right? I've seen people who are little kids, and I've seen even people who are 60-year-olds do it. You just have to figure out your body, right? This is when you start experimenting with yourself, and you know what I mean? And in a movement way. So make sure you this is all about practice. Okay, so I think that's it for the freeze. So we're actually going to try and put them all together. I have a couple extra tips, and then you guys are on your way. All right. So one more time, I'm going to go over all the moves that we learned today, and then we're going to put them together. So I'm going to turn up the music a little bit. All right, okay. All right, so we're gonna go back and go over everything. So I'm gonna be throwing the moves that we went in different orders. I'll be calling them out. I want to do this because I want to show you guys that there's no structure. Remember, this is freestyle, right? Now, sometimes when you're learning, structure is necessary, but this is the point where I want to teach you guys that I'm teaching you new words, and you guys are out there intentionally going to make your own sentences. Okay, this is the really important part. You really want to express yourself. You really want to be like, if you don't like this move that I taught you, you don't have to do it. That's the beautiful thing about it. If you don't like the way I did it, you don't have to do it. If you're like, you like to wiggle your arms when you step out, go for it. If you like to look tough, you want to look, you know, whatever you want to do, whatever look you are that you think you are, present that. Okay, use it as your alter ego or be yourself. Either one, okay? So, I'm gonna start basic, front step. Alright, that was a little rushed, but hopefully you guys saw the gist was there. Okay? So start off with the front step, tic-tacs, went down, coffee grinder helicopter into some six-step, threw in a swipe, and then threw in a freeze. Okay? Now, the beautiful thing is you don't even need that order if you don't want to, right? You can start off with the top rock. Okay. Choose your order. Choose what you love, and that's the coolest part. Okay, I'm gonna turn on the music, and I got one last thing to say. Okay, so once again, my name is Swasey. I'm a movement artist. From stunts to breakdancing. I've done shows for ESPN I do the stunts and breakdancing for the NBA Bucks. I've done Summerfest shows, different things like that. I love what I do. If you guys ever want to have extra questions on how to get into this world more, how to learn more moves, anything, the moves we learned today, moves you had in mind that we didn't get to, anything like that, feel free to message me. All my platforms are Art of Swasey, and you can always contact me. I'd love to help. Jeez, people keep. Yeah, I actually appreciate everyone who did stay with me today. This is actually my very first time ever doing a virtual class. I've never done a virtual class before, so this has been a really good experience for me to learn from. Other than that, I really would love it if anyone who did happen to watch this seminar or this class today, that if they would send me some of their moves. I think that'd be super cool. Or send Nō Studios some of their moves and just show them that you learned something new today. I think what Nō Studios is doing for everybody is awesome. They are bringing the artists not only from Milwaukee, but just from all types of life, and you know, we got musicians and everything, and they're really safe and like artistic space to work with. So if you guys haven't been with Nō Studios, check them out even more. Other than that, if you guys want to see more dancing, stuff like that, make sure to follow me, DM me, ask me questions. Other than that, guys, about finished. So signature, and hope you guys all have a beautiful rest of your day.